Welcome to PICT Voices, the interview series conducted by faculty members of the Paris Institute for Critical Thinking, with notable members of the broader PICT community. Our goal is to present you, our listeners, with a variety of voices from across the spectrum of the humanities and critical creative thinking. My name is Evrim Emir-Sayers, and today I'm happy to bring you a very special episode of PICT Voices with international journalist Mortaza Behboudi, who was our very first guest on this podcast exactly 1 year ago. Now, just as then, Mortaza joins us from the Greek island of Lesbos, while I speak to him from PICT Aegean, located in the Turkish town of Ayvalik, and only separated from Lesbos by a narrow stretch of water. Usually the mainland and the island are connected by daily ferries that take you from one side to the other in just under an hour. Many inhabitants of the island are regular customers at Ayvalik's open market on Thursdays, and of course, the vast majority of refugees on Lesbos reached the island from the shores of Ayvalik. But for just about a year now, the border between Greece and Turkey has been closed, and these two pieces of land that are as naturally connected as a hand and a glove are experiencing a painful and artificial separation. We could have been together in person today, Mortaza, either on Lesbos or in Ayvalik, but due to the arbitrary manifestation of political power that is this border, we must speak as if we were worlds apart. Welcome, Mortaza. It's a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Thank you very much, dear Evrim. Yeah, as you said, if you're so close, you're other side of the sea. I'm here in the Greek island of Lesbos. I'm so happy to talk to you again. It's been 1 year. Last year we talked about the situation of the Europe largest refugee camp, Moria, which burned last year in September.
Yes, Mortaza, 1 year ago on the first episode of PICT Voices, you reported us from the old Moria camp. You told us about the inhuman living conditions in that camp, and you warned that the camp, with its over 20,000 refugees, was a ticking time bomb, a disaster waiting to happen. And indeed, mere days after our conversation, a massive fire devastated the camp and forced its evacuation. Today, 1 year later, you're on Lesbos again. What has changed in this 1 year? Where are the refugees now, and how are the physical and psychological conditions today?
Yes, exactly. Last year we had Moria camp, the largest EU camp in Lesbos, which was overcrowded, 20,000 people in this camp, which built for only 2,200 people. But now in the new camp of Lesbos, the largest again, Europe largest refugee camp in the municipality of Karatepe. The new camp is worse than the old camp of Moria. Why? Because now 7,000 people they are living inside. 20 among them there are children, women, and unaccompanied minors. 5% of unaccompanied minors. 36% about of women, and 25% of children. The condition is worse. Why? In this inhuman condition, they're living next to the water. When you see that from far, you think maybe it's like a private beach or it's like a camping vacations. But no, it's the closed camp. It's a military field, which is toxic field. Was a former military training field. Actually, now they're putting tents there. People living there since last September. They found in this ground a bullet and even a hand grenade of the military. People, they're living here without electricity. It's very cold right now. You see the people, they pass the winter inside this camp without blankets, without heaters. It's raining here since last week, but now today the weather is good. But it's raining, and the people, they have to leave the pregnant woman. It's very slippery, the ground. They cannot go outside. There's no milk for the children. for example, for the babies inside the camp. It's very worse, and also there's a few evacuation transfers to the mainland and to Germany, but people are still waiting for the asylum. About 2,000 people, they have already asylum inside the camp, but they have to still wait inside because they don't have the room or apartment. They cannot rent it outside because they don't have money. The cash assistance by the UNHCR, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, is blocked after you have your asylum. You don't receive any assistance, neither from the government. It's a complicated situation, as we talked about this political politic of exhaustion in Europe for these asylum seekers and the refugees, because they want them to tell the others, don't come. This is the situation they're living in since years. They're vulnerable people, as we see now. Even the single women, they are most vulnerable inside the camp. I don't know how they're living. The situation is catastrophic. People, the journalists, they don't have access to the press. I just infiltrate myself, sneaking inside as a refugee. Once I tried, I succeed, but I cannot go in officially because police is everywhere, even inside the camp, in front of each section. For the single man, when you see inside the single man, they are putting their clothes after washing that on the barbed wire. You see this because I remember it's like a war situation or conflict situation. Why they're putting this people inside? People, they're saying that the prison, European prison, is better than here.
Yeah. Yeah, Mortaza, the picture you paint of the conditions today is almost unbelievably bleak. A toxic military field, tents have no heaters, many have no electricity, no milk for babies, and we could continue this shameful list at will. In fact, you have compared the new Karatepe camp to prison, pointing out that living conditions in prison are incomparably better than in this camp. How can we account for this grotesque situation? Is it really to deter people from attempting to cross over to the EU?
Yeah, actually, with this policy of exhaustion, they're putting pressure on refugees and asylum seekers. These vulnerable people, they're coming crossing, they're risking their lives just to seek protection, safety, and justice. They're not coming to take our jobs or so on. They're only coming because they left everything behind. They lost families. Now they're just seeking protection in Europe. Europe trying to hide them here in Lesbos, giving money. The migration budget is very high, paying Greece to hide them in a camp, as here the new camp, not letting them go outside, even for very small things, for supermarkets. They're limited. Once a week, they can go outside of the camp for only 3 hours.
As you mentioned earlier, Mortaza, the number of refugees on Lesbos today is quite a bit smaller than a year ago, right? So I have two questions for you connected to that. Firstly, what has happened to the thousands of people who have left the island since then? And secondly, why is the island not receiving new people anymore? Has the refugee situation somehow become less urgent, or are Turkish, Greek, or European authorities simply resorting to more brutal measures to stop people from arriving on Lesbos?
Exactly. Actually, there are illegal deportations as well as the illegal pushbacks. We lost 3 people last week here in the Asian Sea. The people, they lost their lives crossing the sea because of the pushbacks by the Greek Coast Guard and Frontex, the European Coast Guards. Those people, they left already the island going to Athens. They're sleeping in the streets. There's no accommodation for them, for example. Those they left to the other countries that the Germany or France or other countries accepted. Okay, they are welcomed in those countries, but those that are still waiting in Athens or in the mainland, they are in the same situation, even worse, because living in the streets is not possible for them in the big square of Victoria or other of Athens. They're living in the streets. But now, since last year, people keep coming still every week by boats. Like we had around 50 people with a boat arrived last week in the island. But with the pushbacks, illegal pushbacks, and also the illegal deportation, Greece and Europe, they don't want to receive any more refugees from Turkey. That's why they do this illegal pushbacks. Even people, they lost their lives. As I said, 3 people last week in the sea. They do that. They already signed another contract with the Frontex, with the European Coast Guards, in order to illegally deport 1,400 people to Turkey.
Wow. In light of everything you described, Mortaza, how is the morale and psychological situation of the refugees today?
Actually, these people, they don't understand what is happening. For them, Europe was something different. They're coming here. They see that mentally they have a difficult moment. They crossed the sea. They lived in a bad situation in Turkey. Now they arrived in Europe, in Lesbos. Again, same situation, even worse. They have a trauma. For example, some of them, we heard even the people, they attempt suicide inside the camp, and as well as people they want just leave. They don't want to stay in Greece. They want to go to those people, those countries. They want to welcome them, like Germany. They have families, or in Norway, or in France or UK. They just want to leave the island, go somewhere else. They are sick. We have many people. They have a very diseases. For example, we have a pregnant woman, for example. Also, these scabies. They have people because of the soil of the camp. It's the camp. This camp with this toxic ground. It's not adapted to being a European camp. No European standards inside. No electricity, for example. When you're cold, really cold at night, you do nothing. What you can do? Nobody can help you. If you go sick, ask police. They ask police, shout on you, and go and just leave. People, when they want to go to hospital, they're restricted. They cannot go outside because police, they don't let them go out.
Oh, talking about diseases, Mortaza, last year we discussed the danger of COVID-19 spreading to the camp. The pandemic was just getting started back then, and you were telling us that because of the camp's limited contact with the outside world, it had so far been spared by the disease. Today, as you pointed out, a significant percentage of the Greek population has already received COVID vaccines, more than 10%. In fact, is anything being done for the refugees with regard to COVID?
Yes, more than 12% of Greek people, they received vaccines for the COVID. And right now, people, refugees more. We have many refugees, thousands of refugees. They're here. They have this worse situation living, and they don't receive any vaccines for now. People, they don't decide. The government, the migration policy, they don't decide if they give vaccines to refugees or not. Only for citizens. There is no COVID cases inside the camp, fortunately.
Good.
They are very lucky. There's no COVID inside the camp. The COVID is outside among people. I heard people, they're saying, the doctors, they're saying, those they are doing volunteer inside the camp, they're saying that we are very far from the reality. What we are hearing inside the city, it's not the same what we see inside the camp. There are poor people living in this inhuman conditions, and they need protection. They, like as us, same right. They need the same right. We have to give them also this possibility to be vaccinated or going to the hospital to see a doctor. It's the least thing that they can do, but still. Even inside the camp, they don't have a PCR test. Only the rapid test, they do that to those people. They have symptoms. That's all. There is no PCR test inside the camp.
Finally, Mortaza, I have a question that is perhaps a little bit more global. With almost all attention in the West focused on COVID-19 over the last year, What has been the effect on the situation of refugees? Firstly, how has COVID affected the situation in countries where many refugees come from? Is COVID causing more people to become refugees? And secondly, how has COVID affected the situation in countries where refugees go? Is COVID impacting the refugee policies of these countries? And is it affecting public perception of refugees and their situation?
For example, now the COVID, every country they're saying that we have to protect everyone staying at home. But in those countries like a war with conflict in Afghanistan, in Syria, or in Africa, some African countries, it's the last thing they think about, actually. They are dealing with the conflicts, the terrorist attacks. They don't think about the COVID. For them, the COVID is not a problem. The problem is the safety, protection. That's they are now the conflicts killing many people. For example, the violence increased in Afghanistan. Every week, terrorist attacks. 4 journalists have been killed. 4 other people killed yesterday. For example, in Syria, same, the terrorist attacks every day. In the north of Syria or other countries, it's the last thing they're thinking about COVID. Because of the seeking protection, they leave the countries, they flee to come to Europe only to seek protection and safety. When they're arriving here, of course, now with this pandemic, the coast guards, they are more, as I said, there are illegally pushbacks to Turkey. They don't want to receive refugees. Even people, they are losing lives in the sea. But this refugee, they are not only refugees. Let's say now, this is what we see. It's the reality of refugees. There are not only refugees. Actually, they are doctors, they are nurses, they are teachers, they are engineers, they are businessmen, women. They're coming. Even they contribute to the society. We have in France, in Germany, the refugee nurse and doctor, they are helping. They are in the front line. They are helping those people. They have a COVID on symptoms. Why they are not now welcoming them? I don't understand why in this camp of Lesbos there are doctors living, there are teachers living inside the camp. The situation in human conditions. They can help them in the hospital. They can help them in the clinics, for example, in the schools, for example. They can contribute to the society. They can run a business, for example, create jobs. But unfortunately, they just need an opportunity from the European countries. That's all what they want. They are living in these conditions. Even they can wait more, as they're saying, but this waiting is killing them. They're waiting since 2 years, 3 years in the camp for only to getting asylum and leave and going somewhere else to start a new life.
Yeah, Mortaza, thank you very much for joining us again on PICT Voices to give a voice to the thousands of children, women, and men still stranded under the most absurd and inhuman conditions inside the EU, a political entity that prides itself on its supposed rationality and humanism. You have given us a lot to think about today, Mortaza, so thanks again.
Thank you very much.
So this brings us to the end of another PICT Voices. If you, our listeners, would like to support the volunteer work that we are doing at our nonprofit institution, the Paris Institute for Critical Thinking, you may consider becoming a member of our community. You can find more information on how to join PICT on our website. In the meantime, my name is Evrim Emir-Sayers. I was joined today by international journalist Mortaza Behboudi from the island of Lesbos in Greece, and I hope we have the chance to challenge you with another PICT podcast soon. Goodbye.